A new rivalry, it emerges ever so silently. But I got fight in me, so I'll squash anything that's trying me. I'm like, me versus you, I hope that you know what you're getting into. I got nothing to lose, so you better watch out, can't predict my moves. I'll make you irrelevant, I don't stop till I'm at the top settling. I live here like a local resident, and you know I ain't selling it.
I won't stop, I'm here to get what I want. I'm not lost, I'm here to make it to the top. I'll take a shot, I'll overpower any boss. Cause I am not someone that you would wanna cross. I won't stop, I'm here to get what I want. I'm not lost, I'm here to make it to the top. I'll take a shot, I'll overpower any boss. Cause I am not someone that you would wanna cross. I won't stop.
Hello and welcome to a special edition of the Marko Yamashita Show. I am your host, Marko Yamashita, and yes, my regulars, I was not planning on streaming tonight. I am feeling extremely unwell. As some of you may know, I have been having some health issues involving my kidneys. I'm in a tremendous amount of pain. However, I wanted to address this situation, this issue that I stumbled upon just about 90 minutes ago, involving a article. Well, actually, it's more of a video purporting that she is sharing news, quote unquote, about AnyColor and Nijisanji. As some of you know, I speak highly of both AnyColor and Covercore. Excuse me. Because number one, I have gone through a number of things looking into each company, and number two, I am a stockholder of both companies. And if I can show you here just extremely quick. This, my friends, is a physical receipt for owning stock in Cover Corporation. This receipt shows is a hard copy receipt of me for me proving that I own 100 shares of Cover Corporation. And go next. Well, Calvin, welcome to the chat. Thank you so much for being here. Let's see here. And this, my friends, this is a hard copy receipt showing proof that I have indeed purchased 100 shares of AnyColor stock. All right, I'm not BSing you. And forgive me for sounding a little harsh or maybe even a little heated. Again, I had not intended on streaming today because I'm in a tremendous amount of pain because of a health issue I have with my kidneys. However, I wanted to address this now before it runs away and people automatically just, oh yeah, okay, well, obviously Lydia is the only one that talked about this, and it sounds like she knew what she's talking about, but yeah, I guess that's true. No, it's not, and we're gonna cover that here shortly, right? But I wanted to get this out of the way right now that I own stock in both companies. I have paid out of my own pocket to purchase stock of Covercore and AnyColor. Because again, like I've been saying for months, I love this industry that we are in, and regardless if I ever take off and get popular or I don't, it doesn't matter, because I put my money where I have my most amount of trust in, and because I love this industry, I'm willing to part with my money on an investment for its future. Unlike these other yakkos that sit here and they just lie and they mislead and they give misinformation purely for popularity, views, and likes on their videos and their posts and all the other BS out there. I do this because I love this industry. Right? I'm not afraid to put my money on the line in order to prove it. Okay? So, with that out of the way, we're going to go and, and again, if I sound a little unhinged tonight, it's because I am feeling extremely unwell, but I wanted to tackle this issue as much as possible in order to at least get my 2 cents out in there. Now, this is Lidia Nekozawa, and this is what she had to say about the recent stock buyback of AnyColor. Oh, hang on. Why is... Oh, that's why. Sorry about this. Pump and bump. Okay, so let's hit. And honestly, I think Miss Lydia should have taken her own advice here. Just as a side comment on this.
On to our first piece of newsy news. So you'll remember 21 days ago, AnyColor, they were doing something called a stock buyback. They were going to be spending 7.5 billion yen for stock buyback. So if you want to know how much that is, it is about 46 million USD. So quite a bit of money for stock buyback. So did anyone ever follow up on the stock buyback? This is the...
Yes, Lydia. I did follow back on that because I own stock in this company. Do you own stock? Do you know anything about investment? Do you know what you're talking about? Oh, Cinema Sins.
Hi everybody, welcome. It's Lidia Nekozawa as of July 3rd, and this is from Riku Tazumi. So this is essentially saying, I don't know, I guess like a receipt saying like, yeah, we did it. This is
Wait. Let's go back and listen to what she just said here.
Essentially saying, I don't know, I guess like a receipt to July 3rd, and this is from Riku Tazumi. So this is essentially saying, I don't know, I guess like a...
Oh, you don't know, but you're guessing. You don't know, but you're guessing, and you are just guessing so you can make a video for what, 10,000 people?
Receipt doing like, yeah, we...
No, actually, this is not a receipt, young lady. This is far from a receipt, right? This is a government filing that goes to regulators in Japan that tells them we have reported what our buyback intention was and what the results were of it and where and how those stock buybacks are going to be cataloged. So when they do their physical reports, the stock owners, the buyers, the people like me, know exactly what they did with said money.
We did it. This is the stock buyback, okay?
Uh-huh.
So here at the bottom.
No, please explain more.
This was the reference. So they were wanting to buy 4 million shares, or they were going to spend 7.5 billion yen. So if you look up here, so it looks like they weren't able to hit their goal of the...
No. That this number here, okay, is, and again, you don't know what you're talking about, little girl, okay? The total number of shares to be repurchased up to 4 million shares. That is the limit of the amount that they are legally able to buy back within a single acquisition of buying back common stock. Okay, that's not a goal. It's not, a board speak of, yeah, guys, we want to raise some money, so we're going to buy back our own stock. No, little girl. Again, you don't know shit about what you're talking about. That's why it says 4 million shares upper limit. And then in the second parentheses, it says 6.4% of the total number of issued shares. Okay, so at the time, in the times period that they are doing their stock buyback, they can either hit 4 million as a limit, or if there is a certain amount of stock that has already been issued to people who have bought them, they can acquire and pay for 6.4% of all stock that has been issued, not outstanding. Okay, this is, again, did you graduate high school? Okay, did you graduate high school? Because there's a difference between what stock is issued, which means that have been sold to potential buyers, and outstanding stock, which is stock that has not been bought and is out there for people to purchase. Again, little girl, you have zero idea of what you're talking about.
4 million shares, but they were able to spend all the money, 7.5 billion yen. Here is the AnyColor stock. Let me pretty much explain it. Okay, so in layman's terms translation, it basically goes like this. AnyColor did a stock buyback, spending 7.5 billion yen, which is around 46 million USD.
Okay.
This is money that they could have invested in helping their, their talent.
Right. Hey, this is not layman speak, little girl. This is criticism that you and Big Lawyer and False-Eyed or Dead-Eyed or Jerk Off or whatever the hell his name is, your little buddy over there. This is opinion. You're not telling me news. You're not breaking it down of what you're trying to report. The news. What is news? No, you are giving opinion. This is opinion. You have absolutely no information and no actual solid anything that you can present to the viewer and say, this is what happened. This is what happened. This is why it happened. And this is what's going on. You are giving an ignorant opinion of something you absolutely have no idea about.
Paying better.
Paying better. Okay, let's talk about this real quick. Okay, since we're on the topic of pain. Okay, because I don't know how else I can actually break this down to you, little girl. But if you want to talk about pain. Okay, we're going to break this down again. We're going to run through the motions of this again, okay? This is their physical financial report for Q3, okay? This is Q3, but you can look at any one of them, all right? Here, cost of sales, direct variable cost. If you look at the little number 4 here, which you probably didn't even bother to pay attention to because, you don't read. That number there is the included fees paid to the VTuber and various platform fees, which means that they include the cost of them streaming on things like Bilibili, YouTube, all those other platforms. That's included in this number here. When you take this number, when you take any of these numbers, and you break them down to exactly how many VTubers are on payroll, which is 159. Okay, each VTuber makes on average $45,000 per month. You want to talk about paying better? I don't know where you live, little girl, but if you were getting 45 grand a month to do your job, you wouldn't be complaining about it. I doubt many people would be complaining about making $45,000 a month. I don't know how else I can break this down to dumb ass people like you who completely skip over all the relevant information in order to spin a false narrative just for likes and views. Umberto, welcome to the chat. Welcome.
Benefits, like really anything to improve their standing. But
oh yeah, improve their. Oh, okay. We're going to talk about improving standing. Okay, well let's break this.
Instead,
let's break this down.
They did a stock buyback.
Okay.
So instead of reinvesting in themselves, they're just like, let's just buy all of our buns back.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's pretty much the purpose of a stock buyback is usually to improve the short-term value of a stock by removing.
That is one singular result of what happens with a stock buyback, you dumb little girl.
Moving shares from the open market, those
lie. That's a lie.
go up in value.
That is also a lie.
So if we look at Niji stock, you'll see they did improve a little.
However, okay, just a little bit.
Again, it's nowhere near where they want it to be, which was above 3,000 yen.
Okay, no, actually, that is not entirely correct. Okay, 3,000 yen is what the expected market price is per stock on the market. That is a goal that is set by independent analysts. Now, that is also a goal that they may have that is in line with the analysts. However, 3,000 yen per stock is an expected goal for the stock of this company for this next fiscal year.
So, long story short, they spent a lot of money to improve the value of the stock, and it appears to have mostly, but not entirely, failed in
okay, and that is also a lie.
Increasing the value of in any significant way.
Okay, and that is also a lie. You have no idea what you are talking about. You have absolutely zero idea what you are talking about. This is stupid. Why do people listen to morons like this? Okay, I mean this moron has 16,000 subscribers. However, most of those subscribers are also subscribers of Fall Side. So I mean, you see where this is going, right? You see where this is going. Yeah, her entire audience is basically his audience. That is the only reason why you're successful, is because you collaborate with Fall Side, and you lie in order to get views and likes. This is complete fabrication. Okay, we are gonna go through. This is gonna be investment 101, little girl. So if you are in the audience and you're too much of a coward to actually comment, that's fine. Just pay attention, so next time you don't look like a complete and total idiot that has no idea what you're talking about. Okay, so number one, let's check the math. Okay, now this is real time. All right, as opposed to using Google, which they tend not to have like totally accurate real-time information of currency exchanges. XE.com is a currency website. Okay, so if we look at the conversions here, okay, we have the 7 7,499,974,000 yen, which does translate into 46,584 dollars, US dollars, as of today's open market. Okay, so that part is true. Okay, so now, oh, I see. Someone just left. I hope I didn't hurt your feeling. Your one feeling, Lydia. You know, honestly, you're not here for me to talk to like big lawyer. And I'm sorry if small VTuber, you. I thought I retired small VTuber, but apparently I have to drag it back out because I have to address you. All right, and your friend over there at Fallside, you know, he's too much of a coward to be criticized. He has blocked me. He has banned me from his channel. He is too scared to actually, you know, have a conversation about what he is saying and stand on his own 2 feet. So, you know, he could be accountable for what he's telling people. So I totally get it if I hurt your one feeling out there and you want to go back to your safe space, okay? I do. I really do feel you, okay? She is cute cat girl. Does that explain it? Yeah. She the only reason why she has any popularity and any momentum on her channel is because, number one, she's a girl. Number two, she's a cat girl. And number three, all of her following are Fallside's subscribers who are practically all 100% anti AnyColor. I mean, I get it, but you know what? It doesn't exempt you from criticism, especially when it's criticism throwing actual fact in your face and saying, what do you have to say about that? Okay, so we'll go through this. She is saying that Niji choose to waste millions on stock buyback instead of investing in her own. No, actually, that is what she's trying to spin, Calvin. But if you look at what they are actually doing, she is trying to make a narrative that is completely untrue. Okay, and we'll get to that. Okay, we're going to get to that right now. All right, so we are going to look at what is actually a stock buyback. Okay, now this is bankrate.com. All right, they have banking, investments, mortgage. You know, that they are one of those institutions that does financial things. All right, and they have a nice article here. If you Google this, if you open up your browser, Lydia, if you open up your browser and you type in what is a stock buyback? I mean, this is one of the first results on Google. You should try it. It's okay. You could try it. All right. Now, what is a stock buyback? A stock buyback or share repurchase is when a company repurchases its own stock, reducing the total amount of stocks that are outstanding. Okay. Now, so far she was correct on that part. Okay. In effect, buybacks reslice the pie of profits into fewer slices, giving more to remaining investors. Okay. They are a publicly shared company, which means people like me reap the reward of them repurchasing their stock. All right. And complete disclosure, a large portion of why their company has any kind of value is because of people like me that purchase their stock. Because we put money into the company in turn takes that money, gives jobs to VTubers and their support teams, and then they in turn get paid for what they do. And again, contrary to what people like her and so many other people think about about the whole VTuber universe. Again, we will come back to our physical report here. Little girl, this is how much they make off of live streaming. Okay, what you and false side are so focused on, they only make literally 1/6 of their revenue per month off of live streaming, little girl. Wow, they make almost as much, they make almost as little as live events. What a shocker. What a shocker. They make most of their money off of promotion, which includes, things like, like promoting, Kentucky Fried Chicken, or promoting Pizza Hut, promoting other product within their economy over in Japan. And then they make the bulk return of their revenue off of commerce, which means, things like, releasing cover songs or original songs and then selling them. That includes merchandise. That includes special appearances. Things like that. That is where the bulk of their money comes from. And then that also includes, people like me who put their money into a company like them because they're producing a product that we believe in. That's the majority of their money, little girl. Not your little world of live streaming that you think is so important. It's when it's not, because the entirety of the business model has 180'd from that ever since 2019. Now that people are not locked down, they're stuck in their homes. Now that people are allowed to go out and about, they're able to go shopping, they're able to go and walk through stores again. That's not the focus. You don't get that. And here's another news flash for you, little girl. Okay, if you look at these charts, that you and dumbass try to shove down people's throats, saying, "Oh, look at how badly that Nijisan's doing. Look at how terrible it is. They're gonna go bankrupt because of this." You know what? Nijisan only accounts for 16 to 18% of all revenue brought in from Niji. So what are you going to do? Are you going to make a significant investment in an established market where you already have an in? And diversify further and continue to spread, because you have not hit that ceiling yet? Or are you going to spend the bulk of your money trying to cater to 16% of the market when you have people like you out there spreading lies and misinformation about them? Why would I? And this is another thing. Okay, why would I bother to spend, any amount of money on a product in a country that doesn't like me? When all that's out there are people like you that spread lies and rumors and misinformation, and you create a hostile market for them, they're not going to want to spend money on it. That's why they aren't hiring for, they are hiring for Niji, EN, but they aren't exactly in a rush to put people out there because of people like you. Why would they want to subject a brand new VTuber into their ranks to a hostile environment like that, only for them to quit on them? That's not an investment. That is giving you what you want, which is someone else that quits on them. No, they're not going to spend that kind of money on them. So anyways, let's get back to it. And again, Lydia, listen. If you are out there, or you come back, or whatever, do your homework. Because small VTuber like me does their homework each and every time that we talk about an issue like this. And I mop the floor with you three, okay? I mop the absolute floor with you three. But, the thing of it is that you cater to that 4chan and Reddit crowd who just live off the vitriol. Whereas I go out there and tell the truth each and every day. And yeah, I may only reach like 1/10 of an audience that you do. But at least I can stand on my own 2 feet and say I told the truth out there, and I'm not ashamed of it. And I do not block people or ban them or whatever if they choose to interact with me and they try to refute what I say. Because I'm not a coward like you and your friends. Okay? Now, let's move on. Okay, so a stock buyback is blah, 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 blah. Okay, a stock buyback is one of the major ways a company can use its cash, including investing in its operations, paying off debt, buying another company, and paying out dividends to their investors. Now, here's another little thing that you did not bother to disclose because you obviously didn't do your homework, okay? The second reason why companies like AnyColor do stock buybacks is because they do not pay a dividend out to stockholders. Okay, most of the time, companies will do one of two things. Not always. This is not a universal rule, but this is one of the options that they have. Number one, they can pay out a dividend to all people who own stock of their company. Companies will do like a quarterly dividend payout. They'll pay out a certain amount per stock to incentivize people, try to incentivize people to hold on to their stock. And it could be like some companies out there they pay monthly, okay, but not a lot. But some companies do. All right, most of the time they'll pay like bi-yearly, or not bi-yearly, twice a year, or quarterly, or semi-annually, that kind of thing. They will pay out a certain percentage that is then broken down over that entire year per stock. And it's not a lot. Some companies offer like a 2% dividend over that entire year, and then they'll break that 2% down into payments of either quarterly or twice a year, that kind of thing. Some of them they'll just hold on to it until the end of the year, and then they'll pay it out all in full. There is not a hard and fast rule on it, is what I'm saying. All right, or companies can do stock buybacks. And we're going to get to exactly what the stock buyback really is, as opposed to what she tried to say, which isn't true, okay? Now, to undertake a stock buyback, companies typically announce a repurchase authorization, okay, which is this document here, which is a notice, not a receipt, a notice to all stockholders, investors, either potential or current or past, I mean, if you really wanted to get technical about it, saying that the board of directors had a meeting and they agreed that they were going to do a stock buyback. Okay, it has to go through a voting process. It's just not like Riku just all of a sudden said, "Oh yeah, guys, we're going to do a stock buyback," and everyone's like, "What the fuck?" No. That's why it goes, stock repurchases are based upon, articles of incorporation pursuant to Article 165, Paragraph 2 of the corporate law, which, by the way, this notice here, that's not a receipt. This notice here is following corporate law as it's mandated in Japan, which, you would know if you did homework, but just like you and Big Lawyer, you don't even bother to read the law to know that this is part of the law. Oh my goodness. Okay, moving on. So, where is my music, by the way? There we go. Okay, so now she was correct, where a company usually repurchases stock in the public market just like a regular investor would. Okay, so she was correct on that. However, she excluded work calls. All right, Calvin, thank you for dropping in. Appreciate it. Now, a company usually repurchases stock that's in the public market just as a regular investor would. All right, but, and this is the big but here, no pun not intended. When they do the stock buyback, they're not purchasing from the pool of available stock that is on the market. They are purchasing stock directly from the buyer or the investor if they're looking to sell their stock. All right. Now, how does that happen? Well, here's how they do it. When you have a stock session and it's in stock trading, people are buying stock, people are selling stock. It's not just they only buy at one time of the day and they only sell at another time of the day. There's constantly stock being bought and purchased. Right now, when they issue a proclamation like this and they say, we are going to purchase stocks back, whatever stocks are being sold for those sessions on those days, they are buying those stocks back directly. They're not going back into a pool for other people to buy. Essentially what they're doing is they're saying, okay, you want to sell your stock? Fine. We'll buy the stock back at the market price. But instead of having it out there for it to be reissued, they instead put it into a account that is on the side, and we're going to get to that, what this account is on the side here in a minute. They put all those stocks that are bought back into an account, which is called, we call it a contra account. All right. They label it here in Japan as, where is it? Treasury stock. Okay. So they called it a treasury stock here, but essentially the treasury stock that they are referring to in here in this case is what we in the West would call a contra account. All right. Now, a contra account is an account that is used on their reports. It's how it's labeled on their reports when they buy back stock. And that stock is going to sit there and it's going to either appreciate or depreciate. They can hold it in that account until, they want to reissue it on the open market. Then they can release that stock into the outstanding stock that is currently available to be purchased, right? But in effect, what they are doing, all right, that stock is coming in. Someone says, I want to sell my stock. They say, okay, we'll buy the stock. All right. Instead of that money walking directly out of the company, what they're doing is it's basically like writing an IOU to yourself while allowing your company to keep the money and the stock on the books, so that your company keeps its own value at a certain level, which is called earnings per share. Okay, and that number is extremely important when you are looking on investing in a company, or whether or not you want to sell a company, because the amount of earnings per share represents exactly how much money somebody has to put into the company in order for that company to generate. In our case, it would be $1. So, like, say, like, you want to buy shares in a company, and their earnings per share is six, is a 6, right? And then you look at a rival company, and their earnings per share is a 2. That basically means for every $2 I put into company B, they're going to bring in a profit. They're going to bring in more profit worth my money, as opposed to company A, where it takes them, it would take me paying them $6 in order to generate the same revenue. All right. So yes, that makes it more attractive to investors. However, investment from the public market, it's not an evil thing, guys. It really isn't. All right. When you're talking about investors, these are publicly traded companies. All right. I am in the United States. I have stock in CoverCore and AnyColor. All right. People from all over the world can trade and get stock in these companies and many other companies. It's not all, it's not like in the United States where everyone's like, oh, Wall Street and the 1%, blah, 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 blah. No. From corporations and institutions all the way down to the guy that, maybe works 4 jobs, he could still buy stock if he has the capital for it. Hell, again, I'm in the United States. I'm not in Japan, but I chose to put my money in Japan and in these 2 companies. I'm not, I'm not a corporate bigwig. For crying out loud. All right. So again, a company usually repurchases stock from the public market. It's like any investor would. The main difference is that when they buy stock back, that money, instead of that money completely walking out of the company, what they do is they take either cash on hand or an authorized payback, kind of like a loan type of thing. And then they leverage those stocks against it. And then it either gets put into like a treasury account, like what we talked about earlier, or depending on where you live, it could be also be called a contra account. All right. Now, the one thing to be said about a contra account here, and this is Investopedia, by the way. This is a great resource that have videos that break things down. And in fact, let's listen to this video here.
A contra account is an offset that reduces the value of a related account. Depreciable assets such as furniture and fixtures are debit balances listed on the balance sheet at their historical cost, which was their original purchase price. The contra account for such assets is accumulated depreciation and has a credit balance. On the balance sheet, the accumulated depreciation is subtracted from the appropriate asset account to give the net book value amount. A contra account makes it easier for analysts to see the original historical cost of the assets along with the associated accumulated depreciation. A very low net book value indicates that the asset is almost fully depreciated and may need to be replaced in the near future. Returns and allowances is another type of contra account that offsets sales. The sales account is normally a credit balance in the general ledger. The sales returns and allowances account normally has a debit balance. By displaying the two amounts in this way, managers are able to determine what percentage of sales their customers are returning. Finally, another common contra account is the allowance for doubtful accounts, which is a credit balance that offsets the debit balance of accounts receivable on the balance sheet. The allowance for doubtful accounts reflects the amount of uncollectible receivables the company expects to write off from its accounts receivable balance. The net number represents a more reasonable expectation of the true worth of the company's accounts receivable.
Now, I know there was a lot of terminology that was used in that video. However, the basic gist of it is this. This account, you know, either called a contra account or like on the report here, treasury stock. In this case, a treasury stock what is how they label the stock that are being bought back. And in this instance, it's likely that they did use these specific stock repurchases as leverage for the amount that they bought back, which would be this number here. However, that being said, it's labeled as such because, number one, the stock will either appreciate or depreciate depending on market fluctuations, which, by the way, Cover Core and AnyColor both have fluctuating. They have large swings in their prices. Okay, it's not like Cover Core it is a stable company and AnyColor isn't. All right, so allow me to show you. All right, so here is Cover Core and here's AnyColor. Okay. Now, just because one is on top of the other does not mean that one is worth more. Obviously, the gauge here on Google is basically on the side here. It's telling you what percentage of gains or losses they have for any particular day. But if you look at the actual prices here, that Miss Lidia was like, "Oh, it's a failure. It blew up in their faces. Blah 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 blah." You know, their stock bounces around wildly. All right, here's a month. All right, and as you can see on this chart here, you know, Cover Core had been gaining on AnyColor as far as total percentage. However, that does not mean that their stock is any more or less volatile. And I will give you another example here. And just give me a minute here to pull this up. Okay, so this is how it looks on one of my dashboards. Okay, now these numbers here are not entirely correct. This one on the side here that says I'm down 212. Investing.com has a notorious bug that shows these numbers as dollar amounts and not in yen. Even if I toggle it back, and toggle it forward. I don't know why this is going on here, because if I go into my actual investor's account, these numbers are very different. So but as you can see here, net percentile and net plus minus here, these numbers bounce around a lot. All right, and at one point I was up somewhere like 15% total on my international account, and now on this dashboard it would say that I'm only up by like 1.5%. But again, these numbers aren't completely accurate, and there's a lot of things that like investing.com doesn't account for as far as stock purchases go. Okay. And honestly, these third-party sites here that present these numbers, that they're not entirely accurate. Some of it is how should you say, some of it's a bit skewed, some of it doesn't account for certain things that are on specific stock exchanges, so etc., etc. Now, if you look at CoverCore, all right, and let's go back 6 months here, all right. So CoverCore did their annual physical report. I believe it was right around, it was right around here, all right. They got a small bump from their annual report, and then they continued to go down, and then suddenly they started going back up again. All right. Now, if you notice here, with this skyrocket here that shot up, they literally gained like, I think it was somewhere, it was well over 10%. I think it came out to about 15% on their stock value after they reported that they had a net positive of total revenue. I'm trying to figure out what word I was trying to find there. And of course, they're going to go down here. And then as summer comes along, just like every single year, their stock comes up. And then as they go throughout the rest of the year, it goes down. And then you come back around. It'll go back up again here in the last quarter here after summer ends. And then after December, it typically goes down, and then it'll come back up. And usually these cycles here happen because the stock gets to a certain amount, and then people are basically saying, okay, well, if they're not going to split their stock so I can at least get back my money, I'm just going to sell, and I'm going to take the net profit, and then they'll repurchase it once the stock goes back down. That's how you trade stocks. You buy low, you sell high, unless you're trading options, which I don't even want to go into options. All right. Now, that being said, let's get back here. Now, that being said, when you're talking about what she is talking about right here, and we'll go back here a bit.
See, they did improve a little. Stock buyback is usually to improve the short-term value of a stock by removing...
No, it's not, little girl. It's not to improve the short-term value of a stock.
Shares from the open market, those that remain.
Okay, this is, and again, this is a complete misconception of what a stock buyback really is. Okay, a stock buyback, you're basically taking the stock that is already being sold by the stockholder. You're basically giving them that money while you're holding on to the stock, right? It's like putting an IOU in the box so that the person that was going to sell their stock anyways doesn't take money out of your revenue stream. You're basically you're putting an IOU into the bin while handing them money, but you're retaining the value by putting that stock into an account that is that's basically a holding account. That's what you're doing, okay? As opposed to, like, if you were to actually, if I were to go sell my stock now, okay, if I were to go sell my stock now, I would be taking money directly out of their revenue, right? They would have to pay me from their revenue in order to pay me for the stock. All right. And that stock then goes back into the pool of outstanding stock that is out there for people to buy. The main difference is they're buying the stock, and then instead of that stock going back into the pool, that stock stays in a holding account, and it's being held like it's purchased until they release it into the pool for it to be sold, or they write it off. It's one or the other. They can write it off, or they could put it back into the pool. But the thing of it is they have the option to either take that stock and permanently remove it from the stock market, or they could put it back into the stock market when the share prices are extremely low, and then they can sell it, and then they can get their money back. Or rather, I'm sorry, they could put it back. They could put it back into the pool when the stock prices are high, and they can get their money back, and they can get their they can get, like, a percentage of commission. Well, it's not commission. It's basically they would be getting the interest if once they put it back into the pool when their stock prices are high. But the thing of it is, and this is where she gets it completely wrong. Okay, this is where she gets it completely wrong. Is she says this
is usually to improve the short. And it's pretty much but instead they did a stock buyback. So instead of, like, reinvesting in themselves, they're just like, let's just buy all of our buns back. And it's pretty much the purpose of a stock buyback is usually to improve the short-term value of a stock by removing shares from the open market.
Okay, which again is false.
Those that remain go up in value.
Which that's an intended consequence of them, quote unquote, removing shares from the open market. But she is mischaracterizing what it actually stands for.
So if we look at Niji stock, you'll see they did improve a little. However, it already dropped down again. It's nowhere near where they want it to be, which was above 3,000 yen. Okay,
so what she is saying here is she's basically saying that because of the stock buyback, AnyColor was aggressively buying back their stock in order to get their share prices up, right? That's basically what she's saying. She's like, Niji went out there and they bought back, what was it? They bought back 2,712,000 shares of their own stock because they're trying to get the price jacked up, and it's a complete failure because they spent all this money and they didn't get the outcome that they wanted. All right, completely wrong. Okay, completely wrong. All right, because this is what it means when they did this. Okay, they went out and they spent this much money, which is about 46 million. All right, they went out and used 46 million of either cash in hand, which is on their books, so the cash in hand that they have on their books, or a combination of cash in hand and treasury loans from the Bank of Japan in order to purchase these stocks, right? But the stocks that they purchased aren't in the pool of available stocks outstanding. All right, when you talk about available stocks that are outstanding for a company, you're talking about stocks that are there for people to buy. Whereas the stock repurchase that they did was of shares that people already owned. And instead of them selling it and those stocks going back into the pool of outstanding stocks waiting to be purchased, it goes into a holding account. These are stocks that people were going to sell anyway. All right. When you look at, let's see here. That's cover. Let's go to AnyColor. See, I don't think that Google has it. Okay, hang on. Let's go back. So I'm going to show you what I mean here. All right, we're going to go back to investing.com. And we're going to go back to AnyColor. Okay. All right, so here we go. All right, when you have a trading day like this, you have this graph here, right? This graph here tells you how much the stock is currently worth, all right? But then, people, will see these bars down here where it says volume, right? The green bars here are the number of stocks being bought. And then the red ones here are the stocks that are being sold, right? This is when people sell their stock. The red ones are. The green ones are when people are buying the outstanding stock, all right? Now, the stock buyback that she's trying to talk about are stocks that were going to be sold anyways, that people are trying to sell from the public, people who already own the stock. They're, and they want to sell. AnyColor is basically saying, okay, we're going to give you cash up front and we're going to take ownership of those stocks. We're not going to put it back out there for other people to buy. We are going to hold on to those stocks and we're gonna hold on to it and have it on the book as this is how much we paid for these stocks. So these stocks are still owned. They still have value because money has exchanged hands, and those stocks still have a value out there, but they're not going to be of value to any potential buyer. Okay? This basically means that the stock is still owned, therefore it can't be outstanding because someone has ownership of it. And if you look at what they have here, this is the amount of stocks that are outstanding. Okay? There is 62,464,619 stocks that are outstanding on the current market. Instead of these 7 million instead of these 2,712,000 shares going back into this pool here, they are held as stocks that still have owners. The only difference is it doesn't say, it doesn't say Hayato-san owns these stocks. It says that AnyColor is the owners of these stocks. And honestly, in hindsight of everything, this is basically no different than one of the stockholders of the company, or one of the board of directors, either Riku or somebody else, saying, okay, I'm going to buy stock in my own company. That's basically what it means. That the reason why they have to put out documents like this according to Japanese law is because they have to report any type of, insider, quote unquote, insider trading, either on a personal level or at a company level. When the company decides we're going to pull back some of these stock that are outstanding, that are not outstanding, but that are owned, that people want to sell, when they spend the money to buy those stocks, they have to report it. It has to be reported within a certain amount of time. And if there is intent on this to happen, they have to give adequate notice and also inform the shareholders, the current shareholders or potential shareholders, that this is going to take place, because any potential investor of the company has the right to know if these type of transactions are going to happen. That way, it cannot be said later that they that they were, doing a Ponzi scheme, or that there wasn't adequate notice. Especially like if people own stock and then they did all these different transactions and then the company failed. Stockholders like me can't go out and say, well, we didn't know this was going to happen, when they issue these notices as per law. That's why they have to do this. That's why there is a corporation law that is in the Japanese law of the country, which people like Lidia and Dumb Eye, False Eye, Dead Eye, whatever the hell his name is, and Big Lawyer don't bother to read to know what the law is of how things work when it comes to things like this. She has on her screen, this is not financial advice. Obviously, because she has no idea what she's talking about, and she has deceived and manipulated her audience and her viewers into thinking that one thing happened when something else completely happened. All right. And for those of you who have just come in, basically, I have taken the first 2 minutes of her video and completely dissected it, blew it up, put it on the platter, and said, here you go. I don't know how else to tell people that people like Lidia and Dumb Eye or False Eye or Dead Eye or whatever the hell his name is, or and Big Lawyer have no idea what they're talking about because they don't do their homework. I really don't get it. I don't get why they would deceive their audience unless it was to cater to the hater for likes and views, like always. And in fact, since her supposed report, and she said, oh, it failed. Well, now they're back on the positive side of the trading line, and their stock has accumulated over 2% as opposed to the opening price, 6 hours ago? Something like that. Regardless, yes, stock buybacks did happen. No, they did not blow and waste $46 million, because basically that money is still with AnyColor. It's only in the form of stocks that they currently hold, because they decided rather than spend money that comes directly from their revenue, they would use cash on hand and treasury notices, which basically translates into a short-term loan, in order to pay people who were going to sell their stock anyway within that trading session, and said, okay, well, they're going to sell their stock. Instead of putting the money back into the bin for other people to buy, we're going to hold on to it at this price. And then once the stock is either at that price or higher, with an upward trend in their stock price, we'll put it back out there so we can make a profit. And then it's basically found money. That's all it is. It's really that easy. It really is. I don't get why people like literally come along and say, look, you know, they're failing. They blew all this money, blah 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 blah. You know, I mean, if you look at AnyColor's stock over the past 5 years, it goes up and down and up. Actually, let me back this out. There you go. See, it goes up and then down, then up, and this is just 2024. If you go to the chart here, if you go to the interactive chart, their stock swings. They have some of the most aggressive stock swings that I have seen in a company. You know, that this is basically what their stock swings look like since they went public, right? Okay, now they are categorized. Whoops, let's go back here. If you look at AnyColor, and if you look at Hall Life for that matter, the sector that the sector of their stock is considered a consumer cyclical stock. All right. Now you may asking yourself, well, what does a consumer cyclical stock? What kind of company is that? It is a company that it is a category of stock that relies heavily on the business cycle and economic conditions. That is why there are huge swings in price. And what are you doing? There you go. That's why there is huge swings in price. There is huge swings in volatility. That is why you have stock swings that this wildly. And guess what? If you look at CoverCore, here's CoverCore, guys. Here's the good guys. Their stock goes up and down just as much as everybody else does. What's going on here? Well, I'll tell you what's going on. It's because this is the nature of the company that is being invested in. Look at the swings in prices. Oh my God. Look, they're only at 1982. That when their stock first was offered, it was at 1412. They're only 500 yen from where they started. Where is your video on this, Lidia? This is big news. Their stock was worth 3,200 yen a share, and now they're only at 1982. Oh, maybe we should make a video telling everybody how bad of a company they are when their stock almost sank down to their IPO price. Oh my God, we should get on that right now, Lidia. I mean, come on. I mean, look at this. They have more shares outstanding on the market than AnyColor does. Where is your video on this, Lidia? Why aren't you trashing them, Lidia? Why aren't you making people haters out of cover core, Lydia? Huh? You got an answer for me? No, you don't. Because you're nothing but a liar. And you cater to the liars. And I'm not afraid to call you that. Because unlike you, I cite sources. Unlike you, I have presented sources. Unlike you, I have presented factual sources. Unlike you, I actually know what I'm talking about. And I don't have to backtrack myself and say...
Terms translation, 5 billion yen. Here is the AnyColor stock. Let me pretty much explain it. Okay, so in layman's terms translation, it basically goes like this.
Whoop.
But they were able to, this was the reference, so they were wanting to buy
Okay, there we go.
quite a bit of money for stock buyback. So, did anyone ever follow up on the stock buyback? This is the...
I just did, Lydia. I just did.
Document that got released as of July 3rd.
Uh-huh.
And this is from Riku Tazumi.
Uh-huh.
So this is essentially saying, I don't know, I guess like a receipt.
Wait. You don't know. You don't know. This is your sole piece of cited sources. This is your sole... This is what your entire... news report is about, and you don't know. Let's hear that again.
And this is from Riku Tazumi.
Uh-huh.
So this is essentially saying, I don't know, I guess like a...
You don't know. You don't know. You are using this as your sole source of information about how much that money they wasted, but you don't know what the document is that you're using as your source, B, what the document is stating from that source as your information, and C, you don't know what you're trying to explain to your audience. You don't know.
July 3rd. And this is from Riku Tazumi.
Uh-huh.
So this is essentially saying, I don't know, I guess like a receipt, doing like
a receipt. No, little girl, this is not a receipt. We can't take this and walk into a store and say, I want my money back. I have this is my receipt. You don't know. That's right, you don't know. You should take your own advice. This is not financial advice. You should take your own advice, and you should at least have some common knowledge of what you are trying to say before you spread your lies and misinformation to the now 10,000 people who have watched your video and said, oh, well, it's Lydia, so, she must be reputable, because I come here often, and she talks bad about AnyColor almost every chance she gets, but, yeah, I guess she's telling the truth. Really? Really? Okay, you skipped over the fact that, that this document is in accordance with corporate law. There is an article and paragraph number on here. There is a stamp here from the Trade Commission. You skipped all of this. And instead of saying, this is an official document, I'm going to use this as my source of information to present to the public just how they wasted money. But yet you do not do one simple Google checkup of what this document actually is that you are going to use and cite as your entire source of information. You have given the audience 95% of your own opinion. You have given 3% of false narratives, and then you have given 2% of factual information that is extremely skewed, because the only things you have gotten right are the numbers that you see here. You have no idea what this document is. How are you breaking it down into layman's terms when you don't even know what the you're talking about? How stupid are you? You apparently are catering to people even dumber than you, based upon your likes here. I mean, apparently at least 673 people are dumber than you because they believe you. It's really simple. It is extremely simple. It is ludicrously simple. All you gotta type into Google is, what is the stock buyback? Wow, brain expanded, enlightened, whatever that meme is. I mean, seriously. Who is this for, except for people who are more naive than you? And if you believe this girl, I feel sorry for you, because all you get from her is hate and vitriol. Nothing that comes out of her mouth is 100% fact. You know, she claims, oh, they're wasting $47 million instead of, I don't know, and reinvesting into the company. You don't know what reinvesting into a company is, little girl. Because stock buybacks is reinvesting into the company, little girl. It is officially put on the balance sheet that the money spent, the $47 million that you say they wasted, the $47 million, it goes on the balance sheet, and instead of it being into a net revenue for that particular quarter, instead of it going into net revenue, it goes into a completely different category, which is the entire point of the document that you are claiming is nothing more than a receipt. Because in net revenue, that is the end of what that number means on the balance sheet. Whereas where that money is allocated to on said balance sheet, it goes into an entirely different category that is susceptible to depreciation. It's also susceptible to interest. That's why it's taken from revenue and it's put into a different category. Because the money is still with the company. When you claim that they are trying to keep their stock price from falling, basically what you are saying is that they are trying to not hemorrhage money. All right? Whereas when you do a stock buyback, you are reinvesting either money on hand or money that you are taking from a short-term loan back into the company in the form of what more or less amounts to an IOU. That's how it's categorized on the balance sheet. That money is there. It's still there. It's going to be there. It's not going anywhere. You are essentially handing cash to what would be taken out of net revenue, and you're giving it to the customer while holding the value of the stock on the balance sheet. So the money that you hand them, the 47 million you say that were wasted in this stock buyback, it's still on the balance sheet. They have handed the physical money to the stock seller, but the money on the balance sheet still persists. It's just in a different category because the stock is still there. It's still being held. There's still a lien against it. It can depreciate or it could collect interest. But it's in its own separate category that is not susceptible to the fluctuations of the stock market. The amount that they have spent buying back these stocks, that again is not outstanding. These are not stocks that are outstanding in the market. These are stocks that were going to be sold by investors regardless of if they were doing the buyback or not. Okay? These were stocks that were already being held by other investors, that people who have already bought them. You know, all these red bars here on this chart, instead of them being able to get money straight out of the revenue of AnyColor, and them having to write it off as, you know, money that was dispersed to investors, and have those stocks literally sit there in limbo and have no value at all. What they do is they hand them money. The stock still holds value, and it's put into a fund, you know, or an account. You know, in some places it's called a contra account. Other places it's called a treasury account. You know, these stock shares still have value. That is called reinvestment in your own company. And if you look back on the AnyColor's website, this isn't the first time that they've done it. They did 3 buybacks in 2023. I believe it. They did 2 buybacks after the split here. After their stock, they did a stock split. And this is another thing. Instead of doing a reverse stock split, they are choosing to keep their stock at a reachable price for potential investors. You don't want your stock to be worth, I'm going to give you an example, okay? Let me give you a great example. All right, we're gonna go to my watch list here, and these are just random stocks I picked out for this watch list. Okay, if you look at my watch list here, you'll see stocks of various numbers and various prices. Some of them are in the positive, some of them are in the regular. Some of these are in Japanese yen. Some of them are in dollars. Oh, okay. Berkshire Hathaway. By the way, Berkshire Hathaway is the company that Warren Buffett owns. Okay, the billionaire. Okay, yeah, one stock from Berkshire Hathaway, one stock is worth $611,375. So if you want to invest in Berkshire Hathaway, you have to have at minimum $611,375 to purchase one stock. Okay? Now, let's say, well, I don't have that kind of money. I don't know. Intel. It's either Pentium or Intel, right? Pentium or Intel. Okay. Well, how much is an Intel's? Whoa, wow. Intel, their stocks are only $31. Well, how many? Yeah, I wonder how many shares I could buy in Intel that as opposed to just having one share of Berkshire Hathaway. Well, let's do the math here. Oh, it's probably 200 shares. Okay, I can either save for years to try to buy one share of Berkshire, or I could take the three. I got three $20 bills in my wallet. I think I'll invest in Intel. Now, me personally, I wouldn't invest in Intel, but I digress. That's a different story, right? Because that is exactly why you keep your stock price down at a reasonable amount. Because if that stock gets too high, you alienate people who are potential buyers in your company. Just because your stock goes down doesn't mean that the company isn't worth anything. A stock price can go down for a number of reasons. One of the off-sided, things that people say when they look at AnyColor is that they'll go, oh yeah, AnyColor, they're trash. I mean, look how, they were at 6,000 yen a share, and then, oh my God, what happened? Their stock suddenly went down to 27. And part of the reason was, they announced prior, you have to make an announcement that you're going to do a stock split, right? So they announced, well, we're going to do a stock split. We're going to split our stock. And some people, a lot of people, not an overabundance by any stretch, but a number of people dumped their stock because they were they bought when they were, 2,000, 3,000 a share, and they were like, this is as good as it's going to get. The stock isn't going to be worth this much, for quite a while. So they sold while it was at 6,000 yen. They waited for the stock to split, and then they repurchased the stock. And you can do it one of two ways. You can either sell while it's high, or if they announce a stock split, you can sell after the stock split. But here's the thing, guys. When you have a stock split like this, you typically have a period of extreme volatility, which, as you can see by the bumps in the roads here, there was an extreme amount of volatility. That is because when you have a stock split of like this, especially after they go public and then their stock automatically skyrockets, there is a real concern that it will take a long period for that stock to recover. So you either sell while it's hot, or you have to hope that it's what's called playing long. You have to hope that once the stock splits, if you hold on to the entirety of your stock portfolio for the company, you're hoping that it will at least get back to 3,000 in order for you to have the same type of profit that you'd have when it was at 6,000. It's really simple. It's extremely simple. And look, I mean, honestly, they did their stock split, and the stock, held its own for quite a while. And then just like always, like all these other, bumps in the road here, perceived bumps in the road, this one was in February. This one was at the end of February. When you go all the way back here, well, you can't go back because they were still private back then. But almost every single year since they've been public, their stock always goes down in the first couple of months of the new year, and then they get to the annual physical report, and then the stock goes up, and then they typically have a period of high throughout the summer, and then it will go down. I think it's around August, and then it will come back up the last couple of months of the year, and then it'll go back down again until their next annual report. And that's pretty much what the business cycle is. If you look at year on year, second quarter is always low. You come back over here, first quarter, of course, was tiny because they were just starting, right? And then you start hitting a plateau. This particular year, first quarter was weak, second quarter was better, third quarter was booming, and then fourth quarter, went down. You come over here, first quarter was up a bit, second quarter was up a little bit, third quarter was high, fourth quarter was low. You come over here, in this case, you had a lot of popularity that at this stage here, but they had a lot of commerce that was sold in the first quarter of 2024. But then second quarter again was low. Third quarter went up. Fourth quarter, I believe in this case I think it was about on par. I can't remember off the top of my head. But I mean that's basically the nuances of what the sector is of where this company is positioned at. They are positioned in media, and I think it was like digital media and media and publishing as a consumer cyclical. And that means that the company is basically at the whim of business cycles and economic conditions. If you look at and I just remembered this. If you look at if we go over here and we look at currencies here. Yeah, so if we look at the currency exchange, that's another thing that has hit Japan extremely hard, is that most commodities are sold in U.S. dollars. The dollar to yen ratio has been extremely harsh on Japan. The power of the U.S. dollar, one U.S. dollar, is 160 yen. Japan has not seen this kind of inflation on their currency, this kind of weakening of their currency since 1970. Was it 1978, 79? It's been well over 30 some odd years. 1986. Yeah, 2 days ago, the yen hit 162 yen per US dollar, and they have not seen that kind of inflation in their economy since 1986. That tells you something, because 1986, actually the 1970s through the 80s was basically a recession, multi decade recession in the 90s. The joblessness was extremely rampant. The yen started recovering a bit, but by then inflation was just off the charts, and then they had a recovery on it. But the yen is extremely weak against almost every currency that's out there. So that hits Japan extremely hard. Their consumer price index is it's worse than what's in the United States and what's in Europe right now. So you cannot look at the stock price of these companies and say with any good conscience that that their stock price is taking a hit because they're a bad company. No, their stock price is taking a hit because investors do not want to put money into companies that have extremely volatile trading sessions, whereas they could invest in more stable, more publicly traded companies that provide them the best amount of ratio of investment per yen per share. If the trade-off of some companies is that they are extremely cheap and you can buy lots of stocks and lots of shares in them, but your investment per share is extremely low, or they don't make a profit, you're basically, they're hoping that people will buy, thousands of shares in that company so they can have some kind of income for them to do business, even if their product is trash. You could still buy. I mean, you can buy stocks in lots of companies that literally pay you pay pennies on the dollar per share. And I mean, you can go out there right now, and there are companies out there you can buy 10,000 shares of the company, and their stocks are only worth like $1 a share. I mean, the amount of money I've spent buying CoverCore share and AnyColor shares. I mean, there are plenty of companies in the United States that I could have spent that same amount of money on and be a significant public shareholder of those companies. But you cannot sit there and say that, because they're a trash company, that's why their stock price is so low, because they're manipulating their own prices. No, it's not. It's because, their stock price is the way it is because they make a certain amount of return on investment. And if you look at the financial reports, of AnyColor, and we're going to go through this real quick and this will be probably the last thing we cover. Now, investing.com does not stay completely current with financial records of overseas companies, like in Japan. Some of them are fairly current, some of them aren't. As you can see here, this page has not been updated since Q3 of 2024. But we can still look at this and gain correct information off of this part of their website. So if we look at the balance sheet here of AnyColor, we can they have a section here of total assets, total liabilities, and total equity. Okay, if you look at the balance sheet here, assets and everything, this is everything that would be like, streaming equipment, office equipment, entertainment equipment, things that for them, like you would have in your recording studios, things like that, tangible assets that are physical. Something that you can take, and should you need the cash, that you could take it, you can physically sell it, and then you can take, and then you could take the funds from it. That's what it's talking about, right? This is the number that they have for total assets. Excuse me. Now, we come down, we look at total liabilities, guys. When you look at liabilities for compared to assets, and then total equity, basically the total liability here, this is where you would have the your loan type of what would be categorized as a loan. So like if they took out treasury loans from the Bank of Japan, and they were to have that on their books as we're paying back these loans, you take those liabilities, those loans, and then you subtract them from your total assets, and you get your equity. Now, when you talk about total assets here, this includes, and this is the key thing, guys. When you look at total assets here, the stocks that are bought back by AnyColor, those stocks go into the total assets column here on this particular site. Now, it's categorized differently if you were to go into like your physical report here. They're on a different slide here compared to what you would see like on this particular site. But you gotta understand that investing.com doesn't cater to just stocks in Japan. They cater more towards stocks in the United States, into the European, the EU, Britain, stuff like that. And that's another reason why this particular page for AnyColor isn't up to date with their most recent financial report. But we can still glean the relevant information from this particular page on the website here, because those stocks that are bought back, they are categorized within this number value here, which again is this translates into millions of yen. Okay, so in this case, it would be, I believe that the correct conversion would be 2,171,100,000 yen. Because everything is counted in millions of yen when you talk finance on Japanese companies. Their total liabilities, on the other hand, this would be. I hate trying to do these conversions on the fly. So this would be 446,300,000 yen. All right, the liabilities includes all the loans that they have outstanding. So what this part of the chart is saying is, when you subtract their loan obligations with their current assets, they have a net plus of equity here, which means that should those loans be called in and them being told, hey, you have to give us this money now, if they had to turn around and look at what they have on hand, that would be everything that's in the assets here. if they had to turn around and sell all their assets in order to pay their liabilities, to pay their loan, they would be able to cover their loans based upon all the assets that they have on hand. I don't know if in this particular case, this includes cash on hand. It might include cash on hand, but I am not entirely sure how that conversion is on their website here. Let's see here. Profit margin. Okay, so here's your current assets, and then you have cash and cash deposits. So this is the balance sheet here. Okay, when you're talking about what we're talking about here, we are basically looking at like current assets that includes cash and deposits, which means that what the cash that they have on hand and cash that can be accessed easily, and their current deposits. That doesn't include like the entirety of the revenue or anything else like that. And then you also look at accounts receivable. What is account? So accounts receivable is the balance of money due to a firm for goods or services delivered, but they have not been paid yet. Okay, so these are like, if they do like a certain job for another company, like if they're helping advertise or something like that, and there is a business obligation there and they haven't received that money yet, that's what that means. So that's how it's able to be included in this. Now, when you start talking about like non-current assets, that this is where you start looking at places like this, where those buybacks, all those stocks that are bought back, that's where you start looking at where that is on here. You also start looking at like current liabilities here. Current liabilities includes debt. That includes like obligations to pay back short-term loans, that kind of thing. Non-current liabilities, these are like outstanding obligations that they have to pay. Now, if you look at this particular balance sheet here, AnyColor is doing extremely well as far as their debt obligations. They don't owe anybody a lot of money. All the money that they have, all of the value that they have is purely revenue that is coming in. This is revenue that is coming in. This is public shares that are being purchased by people and then being held by people. The company is literally growing and thriving off of what they are making off of the customer and what they're making off of their shareholders. This is the complete opposite of like, basically what you would be calling a black company. I mean, excuse me, they pay their VTubers on average $45,000 a month. How many VTubers, can sit there and comfortably say, I will earn on average 45 grand a month being a VTuber? How many VTubers can say that? Out of the tens of thousands of VTubers that are out there, how many of them can say that? They can say that they have a pretty much like a guarantee paycheck of 45 grand a month as long as they just do what they're hired to do. How is that working for a black company? It's not. It really isn't. And in this particular case, the balance sheet in this quarter report doesn't go down into nearly as many categories as if you were to look at cover core. However, just by the balance sheet here, I mean, you can see where all that money is going to, where the stock buybacks are going to, rather than taking money out of the revenue number here, rather than taking this 7 billion yen out of the revenue money here, and people selling off their stock, that money is still with the company. It's the complete opposite of what people like Lidia are claiming. That she's saying that this money is wasted. She is basically saying that the 7 billion yen that was spent, that she claims that was spent, wasted on the stock buyback. She is basically saying that 7 billion was wasted, right? But this 7 billion would have happened if they bought back or if they did not buy back, because they are buying back from existing shareholders. They're not buying back stocks that are outstanding. When you come back and you look at the current state of their stock, they didn't buy back from the shares outstanding. No, they bought back from people and investors that were going to sell the stock to begin with. And if you look at the chart here, and I'm going to end on this, all right? Because I'm sorry, I'm in a tremendous amount of pain with my my current health situation. So that's why my voice is faltering here. But this look at this one slice. Okay, let's see. That was day. Okay, so in one day, in this one day, they sold there was a sell-off of 2.14 million stock, right? Okay, you come in, and the day before there was 583,000 stocks sold. If you come back before their annual physical report, I mean, there was 1 million sold here on the 6th. If you come, let's go all the way back to when their stock was extremely high. All right, let go. Let's come back and look over here. Okay, this was before the Bank of Japan. This step here, I want to make sure. Yeah, this step here is when the Bank of Japan decided to raise interest rates, and as a result, there was a huge sell-off. I mean, they sold 7 million of the stock here, right? If you come back over here, I mean, this was before the massive sell-off. There was still a net sell-off of 1.26 million stock sell-off here in 2023. If you come back before the stock split, let's look at before the stock split, guys. You come over here. There were this day here, June 2nd, 2023. There was a net sell-off of 6.3 million stocks. All right. I mean, them doing a small buyback of what, 2.7 mil. Them doing a stock buyback of this. That money, that 47 million isn't going to come right out of the revenue. It's not gone. It's not bye-bye. It's not ever going to come back around. It's basically like writing an IOU. And I know that's a very simplistic way of saying it. However, I mean, that's basically what it is, because what you're doing is that, the money is, you're still counting that money as being with the company, because you still have an asset there as a result. The asset isn't going to be laying in some dustbin waiting for somebody to buy it. It's worthless. These stocks, right? Let's look at it this way. I want you to look at it this way, and we'll talk about it this way. Right now, the shares that are still outstanding here, the 62,464,619 shares that are out there waiting to be bought, as they currently are, they are worthless to the company, to the talent, they're worthless to everybody until they are bought. They're there. They exist. But they hold no intrinsic value, because you have to look at the company and say the company has value, and then they issue you those stocks based upon the value that you are looking at them with. Otherwise, the stocks, they don't hold value, because no one owns them. There's no ownership out there. They are there to be bought. But until they are bought, they don't hold the same value as what the stocks do when they did the buyback. They basically said, we trust our talent. We trust our business model. We trust our fans to still be here, so we can do business with them. So we are gonna, and we as in AnyColor, are gonna reinvest that $47 million. And trust me, that $47 million is a combination of cash on hand and treasury obligations from the Bank of Japan. They typically do a portion of cash on hand, and then a portion of treasury obligations, otherwise known as a short-term loan from the Bank of Japan. They look at their company and say, we trust our talent and our fans enough to take on a debt and to spend money that is cash on hand, and we're going to reinvest it into our company, instead of having those shares sit out there and not be worth anything at all. That is reinvestment in your company. Reinvesting in your company isn't just about, oh, well, let's spend more money when there is nothing to account for it other than, satisfying some VTuber on YouTube that doesn't know what she's talking about. No, reinvesting in the company is putting money back into the company that helps it keep its value, while still being able to afford to do business and keep your business and your doors open, so people can still spend money at said business. That's reinvestment. And you can argue left and right, well, you don't really know they're making $45,000 a month. Yeah, I do. Because the information has been and always will be right in front of you, so long as you look in the right place. Lydia, you were smart enough. Actually, no, you were not smart enough, because you went to Reddit to get this supposed news report, article, story, whatever you want to call it, you went to Reddit and sourced your information there. You saw a nice long thread of haters and said, oh, that's a nice juicy story. You don't know anything about investment. You don't know anything about the document that you looked at. I bet you anything you have never even read, much less understood, a financial report. Did anyone follow up on this? Yes. Yes, Lydia. I did. And this small VTuber just handed you a whole can of whoop ass. Now, if you want to issue a correction, I would suggest you do. Because you don't know what you're talking about. And that's why you should follow your own advice. Because you don't know what you're talking about. So you shouldn't even be listening to yourself. Much less any of the other haters that are out there on Reddit. Or your buddies over there. Instead, why don't you go learn a little bit about investing. Then come back. And then once you come back and you are a little bit more knowledgeable about what you're trying to talk about, then let's have a conversation. By the way, everything I've covered tonight, all the sources that I've just covered, all the links are in the description of this particular stream. All of them. Every single one of them. You can go down there and start learning a little bit about investing. Because if you're going to criticize AnyColor about doing stock buybacks in order to support all the fine VTubers over there in Japan and the ones that are still sticking it out in spite of people like you on the English side, what does that say about you? You want to criticize AnyColor about not spending on the English side of their organization? You're the reason why. It's not a win for you. It's a loss for our industry because you chose to remain toxic. Alright, I'm done. I've streamed for 2 hours and I'm done. I am in a lot of pain. Again, I did not intend on streaming tonight. But I did not want to let this one sit and stew for as long as it had already. Because I wanted to make sure that I at least talked about it. So I can be on record as saying I did speak out about those lies. And that misleading information that she's putting out there. And again, why am I bothering doing this? That picture that's on the screen is the reason why. I own stock in both Cover and AnyColor. So you going around and trying to sandbag their stock value directly affects my money. And it affects my cat's money too. And she's as pissed off as I am. So, with that being said, thank you everyone who came and has been in attendance either right now or at the beginning of the stream, my chat isn't overly active, and half the time I have more lurkers than anything else, but that's fine with me too. Thank you all the lurkers that have come in and gone. Calvin, Umberto, thank you so much for stopping in. Sorry I did this stream on such short notice. But like I said, I wanted to speak out on this before time went on and, you know, I say forget about it. Anyways, I gotta go rest. I'm done. Hopefully I'll be able to stream tomorrow. If my health recovers by then. If not, as always, I'll post in the community tab and on X to give you guys a heads up. All right. So please take care of yourself. Always trust but verify the information of your favorite streamers, because more times than not, a lot of streamers out there are only doing it for their profit, not for yours. They're doing it for themselves. That includes me too. Trust but verify what I say. And if you're going to throw it back at me, at least cite your sources. Because otherwise, you just look foolish in my eyes. Alright? So, thank you guys so much for stopping in. Have a good morning, afternoon, or evening, whatever the case may be for you. This is Marko Yamashita signing off. Peace.